So today we will be starting with the important question series with respect to the DSA coding rounds. In almost all the placements, the first round comprises of the coding questions, and so you will be starting with the important questions series. The first question which we will be taking on today is the reverse an array question. Now what the question says that we are given an array, the task is to reverse the array. Now what do we mean by reversing the array? Let us look at the explanation of the question over here. The input that we are given is an array containing of 3 elements, which is 1, 2, and 3. The output that we want our program to print is 3, 2, 1. That is exactly opposite order of the elements in which they were given. So what we need to do, I would like all of you to just pause this video and think for a possible solution to this question. This will help you get confidence regarding your present DSA skills. Try to think of a possible solution given the hint that each element of the array is assigned an index. Try to think of a possible solution. So I hope all of you have thought of a possible solution in your minds. So now let's move on to what the solution will look like. So the very first thing that must come to our mind is that we know that every element in an array is assigned an index, which is one less than the actual number of elements in the array, which means that I know that there are 3 elements in this array. So the indexes that are assigned is the first element is given the index of 0, second element is given the index of 1, and third element is given the index of 2. In case you are not aware with this, I would request you to go to the Introduction to Arrays video on my channel and look at what is the functioning of an array and how does the array work. So moving forward, we know that since we know the index of each of the elements of the, what we can do is swap the elements or interchange the elements. We want that the first element should appear at this position and the second, that is the last element having the second index, should appear at this position. Basically, both the values need to be interchanged in order for the for our answer to look like this. So we need to use the swap function. We will create a function called swap and interchange both the values. So now let us look at what the solution is like. Considering an array having 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, what we are doing is initially, let us first write the indexes which they have. The first element has the index 0, second element has index 1, third element with index 2, and fourth element with index 3. So in case you are not aware about this indexing of an array, please have a look at the previous video, Introduction to Arrays, on my channel. The link is in the I button above. So moving on, int n is equals to arr.n length. That is, we are using the variable n to store the length of the array. Next, we use 2 variables which are start and end. Int start points to 0 and is initialized with the value of 0, and int end is initialized with the value of n minus 1. Why we are using these 2 variables is that we want them to actually point to the elements that we wish to interchange. The first thing we want to do is we want to interchange the first and last element of the array. So start is holding the value of the 0th element and end is holding the value of the last element. Next, we are using a variable called int10, which is not initialized right now. And why we are using it is because we want to swap the values. We use the swap function, which is present over here. What this swap function does is uses a third variable called temp to interchange the values of start and end. Now, in this temp variable, we first store the value of the 0th element of the array. Next, in the 0th element of the array, or the 0th position, we store the last element. That means both these values have been interchanged. Start now stores the value of the last element, and the last element stores the value which was given to temp, which is actually the answer to the 0th index, the value of the 0th index. Basically, this function helps us interchange the 0th and the 3rd value. The first and the last element of the array are being interchanged through the swap function. Now, next, what this line of code means is that after we have interchanged the 0th and the last element, next we want our first and second element to be interchanged. Now, how can the first and second element be interchanged? So, as discussed before, these two variables have been declared because we want them to store the value of the elements that are being interchanged. So now start will be incremented start plus plus, which means start is equals to start plus 1. That is, we are increasing the value by 1. So what will happen now is it will store the value of this first element at the first index. And end is decremented, which is end is equals to end minus 1. And it will now store the value of the second element. Why we are doing this? Because we want our variable start and end to now store the value of the next two elements which have to be interchanged. So now first and second element will be interchanged. Again, the swap function will run. And again, the values of the first and second element will be interchanged. Now, how will this loop run again? With the help of the while loop, which has been declared. Until start is less than end, which means that until the start variable and the end variable reaches this position, that start having the value of 1 is less than 2. So until this position, we want both the values to keep interchanging. So if we have, say, 6 number of elements in the array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we want the loop to run until both these values have been interchanged. So first they will be interchanged. Again, it will check if the while loop will check if start is less than end. So yes, it will be less than end since after running the loop once, start will be 1 and end will be 4. So again, they will be interchanged. And again, here it will check if start is less than end. So start here will be 2 and end will be 3. So yes, start is less than end. So again, it will be interchanged. Now, once start reaches this value and end reaches this value, it will stop the execution of while loop then and there. And the execution will be completed. Our output will be shown as 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the objective of our question is achieved. We have interchanged the array completely. In the end, we will just print the array. So let us look at the execution of the code. So this code has been implemented in Java. We have taken an array. N is given the value of array length. Start is initialized to 0. End is initialized to n minus 1, which is the last element. We have taken a variable temp, and this is how it is being executed. This is the swap function, and in the end, start is incremented, end is decremented. Again, the loop runs until start is less than end, and the values keep on interchanging until start is less than end to ensure that in the end we get our answer. So on running this code, we get the answer, which is 65432 1. So I hope all of you were able to get how we can solve this question. If you have any doubts, feel free to write down in the comments. Thank you.